past 500 unmarried men. What starts with gamer ends with Brown family.
Gamera, Steve?
Survey says. You want to play, you want to pass.
I'm going home, Steve.
Bye.
What movie did we just watch?
We just finished watching Gamera versus...
Barugon.
Yeah, Barugon.
Yeah, you're getting to it.
Yeah, I cannot for the fucking life of me remember these Gamera monsters.
Yeah. They've got bad name.
Arguably, the only reason I can remember this one is because it sounds like Barugon.
Yeah.
Which is a cooler Godzilla monster.
Gamera really does embody, at least this generation of it, definitely embodies the definition of broke ass.
Kind of.
Knock off.
Well,
it's not like super knockoff, but it really does feel
the thing
like
is,
the cheaper one. It's the Pepsi of Godzilla. I think we said that last time.
Yeah, I'm sure it's been said a million times before as well. The special effects aren't really that bad. I mean, in that last one they were.
Yeah, but I mean, we see much worse.
My thing is, I'm surprised with the quality that actually comes out of the Gamera movies, because I wasn't exposed to anything Gamera related until I bought those movies. With the exception of the monster effects, with the exception of creature design and basically anything to do with monsters, outside of like ideas, I guess, is about on par with Godzilla, if not sometimes a little better.
Yeah, I'd say it in terms of crafting a film.
Yeah.
These people hold their own, all right. I don't know the name of the studio that made the fucking Gamera movies. I can never remember.
It's Studio Ghibli, I believe.
Yes. They can't be like too lucrative. I mean, maybe after that first Gamera, they might have been making some money. But anyways, I guess what I'm trying to say is that they hold their own in terms of filmmaking, as opposed to in some ways, to a lot of the Godzilla movies, especially like Godzilla Raids Again. Like,
yeah, of the same era.
Yeah, it's definitely like holding its. It's like, okay, this is like a decent. Like, this doesn't look like shit. Like,
right.
as just like looking at the movie, the colors and the composition, everything is all right.
Well, a part of that is the astonishing fact that these Gamera movies have somehow been preserved better than most of the early Godzilla movies.
I don't know what they were doing.
It took past... I mean, I think this movie came out in 1966.
Yeah, it did.
I could be wrong. Around this time is where the Godzilla movie started getting, like... It's where, like, the Blu-rays start picking up.
Yeah.
Is around mid-60s. But the first handful of Godzillas, I mean, I guess the third one has a Blu-ray, but it's like they just had a rockier start with preservation.
Yeah.
And these are like straight out, like that first one didn't look too great, but I remember we concluded that it looked better than the original Godzilla.
Yeah.
And it just kind of stays steady. It's just they've preserved them well enough to where these Blu-rays look pretty good.
Yeah.
But yeah, they're nice to look at. The miniature work is really what I think of when I say that the special effects can compete with the Godzilla movies.
Yeah, they're pretty decent.
Yeah, pretty impressive. Yeah, and they're
too many toyish looking things.
Aside from like the boats, which you can really tell, which I mean, getting boats right is hard because you can tell when water is small water.
Yeah.
But they do some pretty nice miniature work here, and they're not afraid to destroy them. They're not afraid to blow some cash on doing that. And there was one shot in particular where Barugon was like walking. It was like one of the first shots where he's going to Osaka, and there's like some people running around in a building behind him, and then he like freezes it.
Yeah.
The freezing effect's not too good, but
I mean,
they did a really good job compositing. I don't know how they did it. It looked like maybe they had like projections of people running in there or something.
Maybe.
I don't know. It interacted pretty naturally, it seemed.
So yeah, it's a decent looking movie, but that brings us to the monster, I'd say, Barugon and Gamera. As we go along in the Gamera series here, you're going to notice that a lot of the Gamera monsters often look like they're made of like paper mache.
Yeah.
At times they sort of look like school projects or maybe like a fan thing you might see on Instagram.
Yeah.
They're not great looking, and it's usually pretty easy to tell that it's a Japanese man crawling on all fours.
Yeah.
Which I've kind of been thinking about that. I'm like, the Godzilla movies, a lot of those monsters had a great like way of like misdirecting, just like shifting your attention to other parts of these suits so that it's like less obvious that's like a guy in there.
Yeah,
You know what I mean?
that's part of the Toho quality thing I was talking about a few episodes ago, where like they're crafted with like more care or something, or attention to detail, or more
just design maybe. I don't know.
They do it better.
Mm-hmm.
And
There's
I was thinking,
no arguing there.
Barugon was kind of a cool idea.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it's a lizard. I thought it was cool. You don't really see too many like on the ground lizard kaiju.
Yeah, I guess.
I guess Varen was. Not that we can really fucking say anything because there was about 2 minutes of footage in that Varen movie we watched, but there's not too many like, like lizard gecko on all four kaiju.
Mm-hmm.
And I like the idea of him having a tongue that comes out, but like the tongue shoots freeze stuff.
Right, yeah.
And then the rainbow's a little silly, but just it having another way of doing
they give it a little
besides,
more flash. It signifies a little more effort.
Yeah,
I'd
besides
say.
Just like spewing fire out of its mouth.
Yeah, it's like, all right, it's cool. You're trying to kind of give something to counteract Gamera as well. He has ice breath. Gamera has fire breath.
Yeah, and it doesn't feel as if it's competing with Godzilla at all to me.
Yeah, not like literally like trying to match Godzilla necessarily. I would
it's
say.
Not trying to top Godzilla. It's just kind of, I was thinking about it. It was like, it's like the movie's carrying on as if Godzilla doesn't exist.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just like, yeah, we're making giant monster movies. Here's like a wacky giant monster fighting another giant monster, and this is how we're gonna play out that scenario.
Yeah. I agree. But this monster, it doesn't look crazy good once you get down to it. If I'm talking about the suit, it doesn't look crazy good.
In execution, the idea it falls apart with these people.
Yeah.
They made the head really long. They made like the head like, I think of like a horse head.
It really doesn't fool me at all. It really, in a lot of ways, it's got this guy crawling on his knees instead of the monster's feet. I don't know. Everything about it extenuates that it's not what they want it to be. Like it's like totally not a lizard. It's a suit. They but like we said, they put some effort into it. Like it's got some spines on its back that I guess they put like little light bulbs in.
Yeah, that's cool.
But,
I like that it actually glows.
Yeah,
unlike Godzilla's spines, they don't just like color over it when he's about to breathe fire. They like actually light up the little spikes on his back.
Yeah.
In camera.
It's good. I mean, if I had to sum it up into a few words, I'd say thanks for the effort.
I'd say it was pretty entertaining.
The movie?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And just the monster bits especially.
Yeah, I'd say. For a Gamera movie, though, Gamera isn't in much of this.
No, and that's kind of what Gamera is famous for.
Really?
Yeah, is he usually gets incapacitated the first fight.
Mm-hmm.
The first fight's usually relatively short, and he gets incapacitated for like the majority of the movie.
Mm-hmm.
And then he comes back at the end and defeats the monster. That's like the Gamera formula.
Ugh. He's pretty absent. And this movie's really more about, I mean, I haven't seen a ton of other Gamera movies, so from what you're saying, this might just continue.
Mm-hmm.
But the way this movie sort of works is it's more about these people trying to stop Barugon more than...
Yeah, this movie could have just, you take Gamera out, and
replace him with like a weapon or something.
Yeah, honestly, you just take Gamera out and then make one of the human weapons work.
Yeah.
And then you have Barugon the giant monster.
Yeah.
The movie.
Barugon the terrible.
Yeah.
The movie's got a decent story.
Yeah.
For these giant monster movies, it's got like a decent people story where it does a good job of tying in people to these monsters and having them have a reason to be there.
They really go for it.
Yeah, they totally do.
In a lot of the Godzilla movies of the same time period, you get like half-ass characters where like you can tell like even the like writers don't really care about the people that much.
Yeah, they're just sort of means to an end.
Yeah, and this one, it's another reason why it kind of feels like just a giant monster focused on one monster, because that's really the only scenario where you get these kind of strong characters.
Yeah.
The notable ones are that fucking bad guy who like kills a million people.
Yeah.
And then you have the main guy who's a pilot and he ends up fucking the girl from New Guinea.
like always, they go somewhere foreign where they find the monster, like usual in these giant monster movies. It's a
In
common,
particular, an island.
Yeah. Is New Guinea an island?
Yeah, it's an island.
Okay.
It's a large island.
Large island. This pilot guy's got a brother who was in World War II, and he was in New Guinea when he was in World War II, and he found an opal. Yeah, that's the one they go with. He hides it in a cave so they can come back and get it and sell it for millions of dollars.
Millions of yen.
Yeah, millions of yen. Hundreds of yen.
Yeah.
So he sends like a few dudes on an expedition. I guess he's like injured. He's kind of like limping and he's got a cane.
Yeah, he's got a
crutch. Yeah, that's what it is. So yeah, I guess he's like injured, and he sends these 3 dudes to go get the opal for him. One of them's just like some fucking guy, and then there's the brother, and then there's Evil Man.
Yeah,
we'll call him. Evil Man's a big old piece of shit.
He's so evil.
Yeah,
he's too evil for this.
He really is almost like just too evil. He loves killing people. That's like the easiest way to do everything for him.
Yeah.
It's really like in some ways he's kind of going out of his way to kill people at certain points. They bring some grenades with fuses on them. I didn't know they made those.
Yeah.
On this expedition.
Like some kind of hybrid between grenades and like
dynamite.
Yeah.
I guess. I don't know. But he tries to kill the brother. He lets there's poisonous scorpions in this cave.
Yeah.
And then some fucking guy gets stung by one after he finds the opal, and he dies violently.
Yeah, it's really shitty. Like, you've got the brother and the guy who's, the hiree, and they have to stow away on a boat for like a while. They say it's like a long trip. I don't know if they say like 2 weeks or something like that. They have to spend a long time on a boat disguised as crewmen.
Yeah.
So they're swabbing the poop deck and whatnot. And they finally get to the island, and they're looking around in this cave. And then the hiree, he finds it, and he's like, "Oh my God, guys, I found it." He's like, "You won't believe, I found it. I'm so excited." He's like, "This is so cool. It's
all
real.
3 of us are going to be rich."
Yeah. And then the fucking, the asshole... That's where he gets his first little, instance to be an asshole.
Well, no, he's got some before that in the village. He shoots at those natives.
This is the first moida.
Yeah.
Basically murder. He sees a giant scorpion on this guy's leg, like, as he's, like, being excited. And the guy's just walking around with the scorpion on his leg for, like, 5 minutes, talking about how excited he is. And then the scorpion stings him, and, like, in 2 minutes he dies.
Yeah, his leg turns, like, super purple.
Yeah, it looks disgusting.
Yeah.
And I was looking it up when we were watching the movie, but my phone kept crashing. I don't believe a scorpion can do that. At least not that fast.
No, I don't think so. Of course, this is the Valley of the Rainbows that we're talking about here. So I don't know what the scorpions are like down there.
Yeah.
Or what, but so that guy died. It's really funny. He's like dancing around, and like there's a wide shot where you can see the scorpion like just like glued to his leg or whatever, this little rubber scorpion. And he's like dancing around. He's like, for a minute, he's just like, "Yes, we found the opal. We found it where he told us it would be." And then he's like dancing around, and he's like, "Yes." And then like after like a second pause, he goes, "Gah!"
Yeah.
And it's really, really funny because you've been waiting for like a minute for this fucking thing to sting him. At first, when I first saw this, I thought like the bad guy was going to be like, I thought it was going to be one of those things where he takes out a knife and he's like, "What are you doing?"
Mm-hmm.
And then he's like, "Stay still," and he's just like, "No, you can't kill me." And then he you think he stabbed him, and then he comes up with the bug on his knife.
Yeah.
One of those moments, but no, he just lets this guy die. Negligent homicide.
Yeah. And then he takes the opal, and he's like, the fucking brother character is really sad.
Yeah, about this fucking dude. He's like, "No."
He's really sad about him because the guy was a very positive influence. I think on a trip like that where you're away from everything for so long, you need somebody to help you stay positive, and I think that's what that guy was.
That's too bad.
Watching him seize on the floor
Yeah,
and then die in a matter of seconds.
His death goes on for like just a little too long for how like violent it is.
Yeah.
He's like, "Oh God, I can't see. Don't leave me."
He has such a painful death.
Yeah, it's awful. I mean, I mean, I'd feel sorry for the guy, but I don't know if I'd cry like the main guy did.
Yeah, he starts weeping for a good minute.
Yeah.
And then the asshole guy, his name's like Oninodo or something stupid like that. And he comes up to the brother and he's like, "Hey, look, we found it. Now we can split it, 50-50 or whatever, or 33-33-33.
Yeah.
With the brother character back home.
33.33333.
So the brother's like, he's like, "Yeah, I guess so." And the asshole's like, "Yeah, so what we probably need to do is you probably need to hand me the opal so that I can make sure it's all right."
Yeah.
And the brother's like, "That's weird of you to say." And he's like, "Fine, I'll give you the fucking opal if you give me your gun." Because, like, for some reason they only brought one gun.
Right.
And he's like, "Yeah, sure, I'll give you the gun." So they switch gun for opal. Yeah. Which, why the fuck do they call it an opal? Am I missing something? I've never heard opal in my life.
I've heard it before, but...
It's just a big jewel.
I guess.
So they switch, and the brother character is still crying over his friend's body.
Yeah.
And this motherfucker, like, it goes from, like, letting a scorpion kill somebody to throwing 5 bombs.
Yeah, 5 of these weird grenades. He lights all the grenades they have and throws them into the fucking cave.
All of them, and it takes him a long time to light all of them.
Yeah, and the guy's, like, still crying, and he notices, like, halfway through...
He, like, hears the bombs hissing. Like, he hears the fuses.
He's just kind of like, what's that? And then it's too late.
The cave fucking blows up. Yep. That's the one character he doesn't succeed in killing.
Yes.
He gets rescued by the Islanders. Should we talk about the Islanders now?
Let's talk about the Islanders a little bit, yeah. So they get to New Guinea, and we got a classic Japanese guys painted brown.
Par for the course.
Absolutely.
Is what this is.
Yeah. They are painted brown. They like close-ups of these guys a lot of the time, and they're, they just look like they're in grease paint. But yeah, it's not a good look. The Japanese women aren't painted brown for whatever reason.
They're painted brown a little less. They're a different shade.
Yeah, the Japanese guys, there's a few of them. There's one in one background of a shot that I think has like a blonde afro on.
Yeah.
I don't know. I'm not gonna speculate, but yeah, there's that, and there's the hot girl. I don't know what she is to the village really. She's like the daughter of like a guy who's a doctor, Dr. John Hammond.
Yeah.
John Hammond shows up in this movie
from Jurassic Park,
the motion picture.
He shows up and he's like, "Yes, my daughter.
Yeah.
My daughter has grown up with the natives." And so I guess she can, like, her gift is that she can speak both New Guineese and Japanese.
Yeah, she speaks mostly Japanese, I believe.
Yeah, she speaks only Japanese.
Yeah, I don't think she ever speaks New Guinean. Yeah,
this fucking tribe of people, it's, like, so done at this point. Mm-hmm. Like, there's just... And the goofy thing is... It's not like, this is like Longleaf Island. This is an uncharted island we've discovered in the middle of the ocean. It's fucking New Guinea with like, it already has a populace of people. Like, you don't have to make up a race of people.
Yeah.
That's just Japanese people, slightly browner. You could have done anything. It's just so goofy. And they have like, fucking coconut bras, and the men are in loincloths with like war paint, and like, they've got a bunch of sticks and shit. And then they have like a shaman.
Yes.
Who's very stoic, and he's like just like for some reason the only old person there.
Yes.
And it's just that's all of these movies. I wouldn't be surprised if there was like some kind of like group where it was like, yeah, we're Islanders for hire. Put us in your major motion picture. We'll paint ourselves brown and dance around in a circle.
Yeah, we've got several dance packages that you can purchase.
Yeah, we've got the premium version.
That includes chanting and bongos.
You can get the deluxe package, and we'll put some huts in your set. But it just feels so like copy and paste.
Absolutely, yeah. And so these 3 guys show up there. There's a nice scene of they're like afraid of guns or something. I mean, everybody's afraid of guns, but there's at one point the evil guy pulls out a gun and he just starts like shooting at him to make him back off for some reason. I can't remember exactly why they were like.
They didn't want him to go to the Valley of Rainbows or whatever.
Yeah, they want to go to this place. The place where they need to get this opal is in the Valley of Rainbows. They say it brings nothing but bad. So they're like gathered around him. They're like, we're not going to let you go there. And then the evil guy pulls out a gun and like starts shooting at their feet. And he shoots like 4 or 5 times. It's not just like one warning shot. He's like relishing and shooting at these motherfuckers. So this guy gets saved after being blown up by grenades. Our main guy and wakes up in a hospital bed. Hot girl's like, great job, dickhead. Your friend stole something from the Valley of Rainbows, didn't he? And then he's like, yeah, the opal. And she's like, oh god, that's the worst thing you could have stolen from the Valley of that's exactly why we didn't want you to go there. And then they go together to Japan.
Yeah, she talks John Hammond into letting her go to Japan for herself for the first time with what's his face as her guide. There's a funny shot. The only difference between this island scene and the island scene of every single other one of these giant monster bullshits, they're like doing their dance. They're all singing.
They're doing their routine
and stuff, as you can imagine, and then just the fucking helicopter lands right in the middle. Like a helicopter comes down, and all the fucking natives are like, ah! And, they fucking
they freak
book
the fuck out
into some bushes, and like they land the helicopter, and then the fucking people get out, and they're like, huh, it looks like people live here, but there's nobody around.
Yeah.
Which is pretty cool. I don't think they tried to play that up for comedic effect.
I don't think so, yeah.
But they just land this fucking helicopter in like the middle of a sound.
Nobody saw them. They're just like, all right.
Yeah. No one saw them until like right before the helicopter landed.
I guess.
Right when the helicopter was off screen.
Yeah.
Pretty cool.
Pretty cool. So Evil Man, he gets athlete's foot.
Yeah, the evil guy got athlete's foot from being on the island.
And he's like putting some shit on it, some rubber cement.
Yeah, he's putting something on it, and the doctor's like, all right, well, it's like, simple case of athlete's foot. Just going to need you to have this infrared light on it for 20 minutes 5 times a day, and in a week it'll clear up.
Yep.
Simple orders like that, and he wheels in a fucking big, scary 1960s lamp that just shoots infrared light at it.
Yeah.
And
a foot lamp.
Long story short, he leaves that lamp on with the opal in his pocket, and the infrared light activates the opal, which turns out to be an egg.
And it's
Barugon, and he destroys the boat, and kind of a cool scene.
Yeah.
I like the idea that he just immediately gets out and starts wrecking shit.
Yeah, he grows up to, the size of several city blocks in about 5 minutes.
Yeah.
Let's talk about Barugon a little more. Let's talk about his weaknesses.
Okay, yeah. Well, basically they say that his weaknesses are water and then his own rainbow that he shoots out of his back.
Yeah.
And the water thing we notice is really bullshit right off the bat, because they're like, yeah, he's something to do with him freezing. Like, he can freeze stuff because his like body temperature is so cold.
Yeah.
And him being in water makes his body temperature get lower.
Something.
Or not lower, higher.
To some extent, water immobilizes him to the point where they can just like airdrop some water on him and keep him still.
Yeah, they give him, what do they call it? Like artificial rain or something, where they make it rain above him.
Right. Yeah, with like airplanes and helicopters and shit. But as soon as he gets out of this boat, he's like fully submerged in water.
Yeah,
he comes out of the water.
He crawls through. When he's just like not even as big as like a car yet.
Yeah.
He bursts out of the boat and straight into the water, and then he grows to his full size and then emerges from the water.
Right.
So if he really was weak to water, you'd think he would be especially weak during his like growing stages.
Yeah, or he would just like maybe died in the
died or stayed still. His second weakness is his rainbow. He shoots like this rainbow out of his back, which is basically the equivalent of Godzilla shooting his atomic breath.
Yeah.
But it's a rainbow that comes out of his back. It looks pretty ridiculous.
Mm-hmm.
It's just kind of a weird Japanese idea. It doesn't really translate well.
Yeah, I can tell there's maybe a concept that wasn't fully realized or something there.
So it just looks wrong.
Yeah,
really, especially as an attack.
Yeah, it's that should be like a healing thing.
Something.
Rainbows are pretty.
Yeah. Anyway, they at one point they get a big mirror and just reflect it at him.
Yeah, and they demonstrate why this would work very well with a scene in which the main character realizes that it like destroys everything, but he's like, oh, these mirrors from this Jeep didn't get destroyed whenever the rainbow hit it. That means it reflecting the light, doesn't destroy it. And then he illustrates to all these army people
He brings like
a blowtorch
50 guys into one little room to
Yeah.
give them a demonstration
of why this would work. He's got 2 blowtorches, and he gets the blowtorch going, and he's like, right, so the flame comes out of the blowtorch, right? And everybody's like, yeah, okay, right? And then he's like, okay. And then he's like, but if you had a blowtorch and you had the flame touch the blowtorch and the metal on the blowtorch, it would destroy the blowtorch itself, even though the torch isn't destroyed by emitting the fire. And everybody's like, oh,
yeah
okay. And that's the basic they just want to shoot his rainbow back at him because they know it'll just fucking kill him.
and that's the extent of that demonstration. It's kind of comical because
it's a simple idea.
It goes on like such a short period of time. They go out of their way to like explain this.
Yeah. I don't know if they had test audiences back in the 60s, but it seems like one of those ideas where, the studio's like, they're not going to get it. Test audiences aren't understanding, this concept.
It's just such a simple idea. Like his thing can hurt him if it's reflected back at him.
Yeah, it's not a complex idea. It's just weird. It's just weird that they go out of their way for it.
But they do.
And it works for a little bit.
Yeah, so Barugon's, he's got purple blood.
Yeah.
And they do some cool stuff where like he gets hit with the
reflection of his rainbow.
Yeah. And there's one part where Gamera stabs him in the face earlier.
Yeah.
And they'd use the same effect, but they've got a pretty good way of like pumping that purple paint out of him to where it looks like he's really fucked up.
Yeah, he's fucking bleeding. When he gets hit by the ray, he's got like his like flesh is like bubbling and blistering.
Yeah.
Along himself, and like there's even like blood leaking out of it, and it's like, oh shit, that's kind of nasty looking. It's pretty effective.
Yeah, it looks good. Really, the only fucking problem with the special effects in these movies is the monster designs.
Yeah, it's just
pretty shitty.
If they were just proportioned differently and just had like a little more decoration on them.
If they spent a little more time making them, they have a horrible sense of texture.
Yes, yeah. Like I said, it looks like paper mache. Yeah,
it's just paper mache, and like they all look thin and papery. And in the Godzilla movies, they're made out of all kinds of different textures. You think of a monster like Megalon, you can't even begin to think what that's made out of.
Yeah, and then King Ghidorah's got scales.
Mothra's got fur all over it.
Yeah,
he's got all these different kinds of stuff.
Yeah,
and Anguirus looks pretty good. He doesn't look quite as bad as these Gamera ones.
The Gamera ones, it seems these designs go in broad strokes, and they're just kind of generally like, this one's a flying one. There's no really attention to fine detail, I would say.
They come in some pretty different shapes.
Yes,
but they all have that same texture where they're just like flat, smooth, but like papery,
fake looking. I mean, that's just you can't. It's impossible to suspend your disbelief with these things. Well, let's talk about Gamera at the first part of the movie. The movie begins with a recap of the first film, telling you like, okay, Gamera came out of the ice after a plane crashed with an atomic bomb on it. He came out of the ice, fucked shit up, and then they shot him into space, right? But then that spaceship got hit with a meteorite, and Gamera got back out, and he immediately went back to Earth.
He was stronger than ever.
He came out of that ship already spinning.
Yeah,
he was already doing his little thing. He went back, and he immediately went to. They said he was seeking power, or he's seeking energy. So he goes to a dam, which I guess a power plant is nearby. Shockingly, he breaks this dam, and he destroys some shit at the beginning of the movie, and then we don't see him until Barugon gets out. And until Barugon shoots his first rainbow.
The energy from that rainbow attracts
Gamera, and he comes on down. He immediately there's a pretty funny shot where they have like a narrator say like Gamera was immediately attracted by the energy from Barugon's rainbow, and then Gamera comes spinning in, and he immediately hits the rainbow.
Yeah.
And I thought at first that was gonna hurt him, but apparently not. He shows up, and then he gets into a scuffle with Barugon. There's some pretty good shots of Gamera's very obviously flamethrower body. Yeah, clean miss of Barugon, just kind of setting some buildings on fire.
Yeah, that Gamera shit, I don't remember it annoying me when I used to watch these movies, when we were in the dorm.
Yeah.
But his fire that he shoots out of his mouth looks fucking awful.
It really does. He's always catching, and even when he's spinning, the little flames that come out of his leg holes, they're always catching the suit on fire. They're always doing it.
I can tell they're trying to differentiate themselves. Like, they're like, okay, well, Godzilla has like
a special beam.
Yeah, he has like that effect on him. We're gonna do like real fire.
Yeah.
And then for like close-up shots, we're gonna play it in reverse, so it looks like special fire or something. I don't know. That looks awful, in particular when he does it in reverse, because it just looks like he's sucking up fire.
Yeah.
And it looks bad because it just comes off as a weaker attack.
Mm-hmm.
The range is short, and they try to do the reverse thing. It just in combination, because they'll go from like one of those reversed shots of him spewing fire to a wide shot where like there's a bunch of stuff moving, so they can't play it in reverse.
Right.
So it's just playing in regular.
Mm-hmm.
In regular, it's just bad. It doesn't look good.
Yeah, it's very comical. A lot of the times, if you're looking to make fun of these movies, they'll cut from regular Gamera to flamethrower Gamera. It's very obviously different.
Yeah, you'll see a pipe in the back of his throat.
Yeah, you see the flamethrower inside of him. And it's always very funny. They're always kind of like half-assing, like he's got his arms up, like
he's got his arms like above his head. And...
Yeah, he's inherently got kind of a dumb fucking face in these movies that flamethrower suit really extenuates.
Mm-hmm.
That he looks just stupid.
I don't remember him doing this very much unless he's like underwater or something, but he crawls around like a real turtle in this one, a whole bunch.
Even though he's standing at the beginning, like they kind of established that like Gamera just kind of stands.
Yeah, and he stands at a few points during this movie,
yeah,
but
he fights like that too.
For some reason, he'll get on all fours and start crawling around and shit.
Don't know.
Did they think that looks good? Because the armholes are positioned more towards like the center of him, like not where a real turtle's arms would be.
Right.
So they're kind of coming out of the front of him a little bit.
Right.
So when he gets on the ground, it doesn't look right because his arms aren't where a turtle's arms would be.
He doesn't look like a creature that crawls on all fours.
Yeah.
He looks humanoid. Anyways, he gets in the scuffle and he flamethrowers a little bit. It's kind of a cool setting where like at least it's a cool idea where like the whole city's like frozen.
Mm-hmm.
Or this whole section of Osaka. Gamera gets frozen after a short scuffle with Barugon, and then he's frozen for like the whole time. And then we spend a while just trying to fix Barugon and get him. They like the hot girl brings a like 5,000 carat diamond. They try to like use that to lure Barugon somewhere. Like they said he'd follow it, and they have it like in this little lantern like attachment
because Barugon's attracted to light,
right? So they think that using this diamond,
diamond doesn't produce light, it just like refracts it, right? Yeah,
I don't know, it's just dumb.
Yeah, it's pretty dumb. They don't even try to like put a flashlight in it. I don't think they just like dangle it from a helicopter.
Yeah, like in a little container. I thought there was gonna be like, okay, we can use this to focus a spotlight or something.
Yeah.
But no, they just kind of dangle it, and Barugon, and it doesn't work. He like follows him for a minute, then stops.
Yeah, and then they say like, it doesn't work because this Barugon is bigger than Barugon is supposed to be because of the infrared light. And they're like, oh, okay, great. And then they just move on to another plan.
Yeah. So, next step in line, Death Ray. And they're going to use the diamond to do the Death Ray. And then evil motherfucker comes in.
Oh, the Death Ray was powered by the diamond, and they couldn't use the diamond
using the diamond.
Because what's-his-face, he stole it.
Yeah, so evil guy comes on a boat to this car boat that... And then he steals the diamond and he gets off because these people won't fucking just shoot him. Really, if you're approaching like an army vessel or something, on a boat,
skiff.
Yeah, on this they'd probably just shoot you on sight.
They just straight up let this fucking guy walk up, take the diamond out of the fucking death ray, and then get back in the fucking boat.
Yeah.
He gets killed by Barugon,
but he takes the fucking diamond with him.
Yeah, he really fucks everything up.
That guy's just annoying. He's fucking annoying.
Earlier, he goes by his boss's house.
Yeah, which is the main guy's brother.
Yeah, and he's like... He basically confesses, like, for no reason. Like, he could have just said, like, yeah, I didn't... Because up till that point, he thinks that the brother character is dead. He thinks that he succeeded in killing him. And so up till that point, he's like, yeah, I've murdered 2 people. And for some reason, he confesses that.
Yeah, he's like, I murdered 2 people for this. Or
like
something.
He still believes that the opal is like at the bottom of like the harbor,
Right.
And he's like, we can get a team of divers to go down and get it. And his boss is like, look, we're just not going to do that. The monster's out. It's too big of a hassle. He's like, I'm sad my brother's dead. Let's just give up on this plan. And he's like, no, I killed 2 people for this. And he's like,
hold up,
fucking
what'd you
killed
just
my
say?
brother?
Yeah.
It's like, you killed my brother, you son of a bitch. And then they duke it out for a minute.
Yeah.
And then he ends up, the asshole ends up killing his boss and his boss's wife. Like, he beats the
shit
fuck out of him. And leaves him for dead underneath a file cabinet.
Yeah, and then the guy's like under the file cabinet, the brother, and he's like, please help me and my wife. I've got money in my pocket. Right here in my pocket, right here. I can give it to you if you just help us. And then the guy just steals the money.
Yeah, the guy just fucking grabs the wallet. Yeah. And then he runs away. And then they fucking, later on, it's revealed that they burned to death.
Yeah, we're told through dialogue, like, oh, yeah, they burned to death.
Because of the monster attacking that place. I think one reason this movie really succeeds, or one place this movie really succeeds, is the fact that we're getting scenes with the main characters. Mm-hmm. And they're not military people, which is the problem. And they kind of turns into that. It devolves into that. But for a while, we have just scenes of people who are being affected by where the monsters are. Because at first they're in, I forgot what that place is called, but where the dock was, where the boat was supposed to.
It was.
You see the characters are there, and then the monster comes, and they're like, okay, we have to evacuate. So they evacuate to Osaka, and then they're like, the monsters are coming here. So we have to evacuate. And so there's like a time crunch on it. It was kind of, you remember me telling you about my reaction to that part in Mothra vs. Godzilla where the 2 business guys are like in the building fighting and Godzilla's coming, and it like really made me freak out.
Yeah.
Well, this movie kind of taps into a similar thing where you hear on the radio like the monster's coming here, but they're not just leaving because they're in the military.
Right.
They're actual people, and there's like reasons for them to not be leaving, and the fight because of the asshole killing people actually motivates that and adds like another layer of tension because you know the monster's coming. And then second, it delivers on that because you get these really cool shots of Barugon destroying Osaka. Mm-hmm. And it's, the miniature work is pretty good, and they have some really good shots. Like, they don't shoot these things as bland as they shoot some of the Godzilla destruction scenes.
They do
They do like really low angles, and they have some really cool shots. And I think that just serves to make a better movie because you're actually getting scale.
Yeah.
You're getting people in these buildings, and then later the buildings are getting destroyed sometimes with people in them.
Those are people. There are people in those buildings. I understand that those buildings are It's there's also another scene where the main guy and his hot girl from New Guinea, they find the guy like in a bar or something.
He's in a bar. They have a long fight.
Yeah, they have a long fight. They
like a fist fight.
Out. Yeah,
they're smashing shit over each other.
Yeah, it goes on so long. There's a knife that gets involved for a second, then disarmed.
Yeah.
Yeah, the girl even helps out by smashing a bottle over this guy's head.
It's a good fight, though. I enjoyed watching it.
Yeah, it's good. It's, there's a lot of, if you have a friend there, there's a great deal, you can hoot and holler at it.
Yeah.
Say kick his ass. It does get a little frustrating. It's with the girl. It's like, come on, why isn't she like
she's
whacking
just
this
standing
guy
around.
She does, like, at one point she just like smashes a bottle over the bad guy's head. Like,
but she
it doesn't even like end the fight like like that normally kind of would in a movie, where it's like, okay, she come in and then she kind of like finished it off. But no, I kind of just wish she'd, I don't know, picked up that knife and fucking stabbed the guy or something.
Yeah,
it was a little frustrating. But they end up beating this guy up. Really, he should have slit that motherfucker's throat or something.
The main character gets the upper hand and just starts wailing on him.
Yeah,
and he fucking beats the fuck out of this asshole. And then they tie him up and leave him for dead, even though they should have just killed him.
Yeah.
But they tie him to a post.
And then some bitch, like...
Yeah, some lady shows up.
Some geisha girl fucking comes and, like... It's just some bitch. And she's
and then, like, later she's acting like she cares about him.
Yeah,
like,
I wonder if it was, like, something was cut out of the movie, if she was, like, supposed to be his wife or his girlfriend or something.
Yeah,
I don't know. She wasn't acting like it. It was weird. She just like frees him, and it's like, oh no, he's out again, And then he ends up fucking up that whole plan. Yeah, it really is. He's just like frustrating, and not like in a good way where you're like satisfied when he dies. Like when he dies, he also does something annoying.
Yeah.
There's never any like satisfaction to any of it.
It's like the bad guy from Mothra.
Yeah.
Where he's just like too evil. Like he's got so many opportunities to like make it right.
Yeah.
And he fucking doesn't for some reason. Like even when he's past the point of like making money, he still wants to make money.
Yeah, he's still like, I can
all
save
costs.
this. Yeah, it's really, really irritating. At the end, once we get around to the end, after this guy's died, they hit Barugon with his rainbow, and then once he's been hit with it, at that point, the rainbow didn't work, and they can't get him to shoot another rainbow because he just hurt himself with one. And then Gamera wakes up. He finally is thawing. He uses his flamethrower to accelerate his thawing. He flies over to finish the fight against Barugon, and then they start duking it out. It's a decent fight, I guess. I don't
even remember it.
I mean, I remember a few shots. I never really got like tired or like irritated during it. I know, but
it ends in Gamera drowning.
Yeah,
Barugon.
Spoilers. He like kicks Barugon a few times, and then they like cut to a shot with Barugon on strings, and he kind of like goes in a slope and crashes into something. It's like really obvious that it's just the suit on strings.
Yeah, it's pretty bad about it. They do it in a lot of the Godzilla movies where they'll just a monster will get hit or thrown, and instead of them like actually tossing the suit, they'll just put it up on strings and swing it like a pendulum.
Yeah,
like into something, so they're going at this really weird angle, like they're on a swing or something.
Yeah, it's like a dip,
and
then,
it's fucking,
it's all wrong.
Yeah.
So yeah, that goes on for a while, and then like you said, Gamera grabs Barugon and drags him to the bottom of this extremely deep lake.
Is it not just the ocean?
I'm pretty sure. I thought it was the lake. Maybe I'm wrong.
Well, at one point they suggest using a lake, so it might have been a lake.
I think it was. But yeah, he drags him to the bottom of this, and he's like bleeding from these purple parts on him, and this water's like all purple from the paint that's coming out of Barugon, and he just drowns Barugon, and then he's done, and he comes back out. And does he fly away? I think so.
Yeah.
Like flies away, and then he's done, and I guess they're just not worried about him anymore at this point.
Yeah, it's weird. I don't. The thing with Gamera in this movie is that they almost never talk about him.
Yeah,
they only talk about him when he's on screen. But Barugon, they talk about him all the time.
Yeah,
like he's the threat.
It's so weird. It's
because the whole first Gamera movie was about getting rid of Gamera.
Yeah.
And it's not a gradual. It's not a gradual transition between good and bad. Like with Godzilla, he might not even be good. But for some reason, because in the beginning he's attacking power plants and shit.
Yeah, he causes some destruction,
and then he flies away at the end, and they're not worried about it.
Yeah, they're not,
because they
don't say like, I don't know. They don't even throw in like a dumbass line saying like, I guess we have a truce with Gamera now or something. They
spent the majority of this movie coming up with like extremely like
elaborate,
tactical plans on destroying the monster, and like they would have to do the same thing with Gamera because he's
do something
also
about him, he's just free now.
He's also
out.
a threat.
Yeah,
to their knowledge, and he becomes more of an ally of humanity if I remember correctly as these go. But it's just so weird that it's just like they're not even worried, because in the Godzilla movies, you get kind of a sense of dread when Godzilla's still around, even though most of these movies kind of end with him being like, oh, well, is he gone for good?
Yeah, he's going back into the ocean.
But that's not here. They're just like, look, and there Gamera goes.
Yeah.
He's fucking free as a bird.
Yeah. You want to jump into Don Fries, or do you have anything else you want to say?
I have 4 more talking points.
Oh, my God.
So... first thing that didn't really make much sense to me, the guy's brother is the only one who knows where the opal is, and he doesn't fucking go.
I was thinking that had something to do, I mean, this is just in retrospect, not as I was watching the movie. I kind of got, as we were going, I was like, oh, that's his brother, okay, I kind of missed it on the first run through, I think. But I guess if you were to ask the filmmakers, they'd probably say it's because he's injured in some way and he couldn't make the trek through the treacherous.
Right. But, as we know, that's bullshit. Because he's, like, barely injured.
He has a limp, like, a little bit.
Also, like, they fucking he just tells them it's in a cave. He doesn't say, like, it was just part of this cave. He says, like, I threw it in a cave. And it's just fucking luck that they find it at all.
Yeah, he doesn't say, like, there's a marker, there's a rock on top.
He doesn't tell them where to fucking look, and it's just so retarded. And they act like it's a big-ass deal that they're going there. They're like, okay, we have to disguise ourselves. We have to get fake passports. We have to do this and this and this.
You can't just go to New Guinea?
No, but when they get to New Guinea, the thing is, like, people are there telling them to stop, and they just go anyway.
Yeah, they didn't.
So why the disguise? Why did they have to assume the roles of, like, crew members on that boat if they could just fucking walk up on the shores of New Guinea and say, hey, we're going here no matter what you say?
Yeah.
They didn't have to deal with anything. To my knowledge, they didn't even have to show their passports. That bugged me. Second talking point, this is the first one where they use the wide lens that, like, warps the side of the frame that I can't help but love.
You will become familiar with this lens.
I don't know why, but I like it so much.
Really?
Yeah, it's just like it warps the fuck out of the sides of the frames, and they love to act like it doesn't.
Yeah. This is a normal shot.
But if I ever made a monster movie, a giant monster movie, I would want these lenses. There's just you just don't see these fucking lenses like anywhere outside of this era in Japan, to my knowledge. Third talking point, you'll notice a lot, and this is just like the first time that I've decided to talk about it, but we've seen it a million times. When a monster is underwater and, like, about to emerge, they'll do this shit where they'll, like, shine a light and then blow some bubbles up. They do this all the time. I don't know why. It's just like, I guess it's just to signify that, like, a monster's about to come up.
I guess.
But it's almost like a standard that they have to do this effect all the time. They did it, starting with the very first one. They did it in Godzilla, like, with that fucking boat in the beginning. And, like, basically in every movie since, if there's a monster in water, then it does that.
Yeah.
No matter if it's new or a monster returning.
Right.
And last talking point, the roars.
Oh,
I wanted to talk about the roars.
I forgot about that. Holy shit.
In addition to the monster design,
oh my god,
the roars are equally bad, if not worse.
A high-frequency hiss kind of is Barugon's sound.
Yeah.
It's awful.
And then Gamera's roar is like,
it's whatever they want, really.
Yeah,
it's always changing.
It's even like, I remember in that last movie, at least he kind of had like a thing with that roar.
Yeah.
But in this one, he like doesn't roar too much, and it's just like, you know, these roars are fucking bad. It's another thing. Straight out of the gate with Godzilla, all the monsters have really cool roars.
Yeah, they always get it right.
Yeah.
Pretty much.
Godzilla, Anguirus, Mothra,
King Ghidorah,
Rodan, they all have like
distinct
solid
and like perfect.
Yeah.
For their design, like we talked about it in like Rodan, I think, but like, you know,
it just makes sense to hear that noise.
You see these monsters and then they make that noise and you go, okay, yeah, that would make that noise. I accept that. But this is just like, they kind of
just fucking whatever.
Yeah, I was just about to say, it's whatever they fucking like want. It's just like, all right, we've got this.
It's such an afterthought.
Yeah, it totally is. It's awful. It's like so grating on the ears, like it, you know, just unpleasant.
Yeah. All right, Don Fry time. I had a pretty good time watching this movie. It was my second time seeing this. Aside from, I've said that I liked that Barugon has that thing he does with his tongue. And I like that they tried to do a lizard thing. Besides that, he might just be the worst Gamera monster.
Yeah.
But that's fine because it was the first one. My favorite parts about this movie are Barugon destroying Osaka in the beginning. Has some really good shots. And part of the first fight with Gamera was kind of cool. I liked that Gamera punches Barugon in the face after stabbing him in the face with one of his claws.
Totally.
That was cool. The human part of this movie was actually really fun in like a non-intrusive way. I never felt like I was being yanked out of seeing the monsters to see these humans. Like, it always felt like there's a really good balance of like, we're going to take away from the monsters right before it would be too much with the monsters. And we're going to hang out with the people, and we're going to dedicate enough time and energy into these characters to make them engaging enough to last you this whole movie. I'd say this movie is hands down better than Mothra versus Godzilla, which has been topical recently in the shithead community.
Absolutely.
It's been getting a resurgence of people saying it's one of the greatest. And this movie, I'd say, is a lot better in terms of
entertainment value,
monster action, characters, all of the above.
Yeah.
I guess it's more consistent than Godzilla versus or Mothra versus Godzilla, because in that movie you're like, not even the fight speed is consistent, and like the tone's bouncing around, and everybody talks about that movie having a great villain. It's like, oh yeah, the bad guy is, you know, a greedy person. It's a story about fighting against greed. If you want a fucking greedy motherfucker,
try this guy.
Take a look at this fucking guy who'll kill you at any fucking point he can get just to get a little chunk of cash.
Yeah.
Yeah, the villain was a little annoying, but served the plot. Monster fights were okay. Like we said, it's mainly just a movie about Barugon. In terms of giant monster movie, this is okay, and I'm gonna give it a 6.5.
For me, I gotta say, like, I don't know, like, yeah, like as a film, you know, it works all right. As a movie, you know, it's got a decent story. It looks all right. Nothing gets grating on me. Nothing really like super irritates me, except for like the sound of the monster maybe, and I get like annoyed with the villain and how the characters react to him a lot of the time. But nothing really like awful that like sticks with me afterwards. I'm like, you know, super like, God, that was so fucking annoying or anything. The monster fights are decent, you know, and there's some goofy stuff in here that you could make fun of. But none of it's really crazy good or anything. Stories, in my opinion, is about where it should be if we're treating this like a real movie.
Yeah.
It's about it where it should be. But you know, a C is not a good grade necessarily. Passing isn't great. And then the monster fights are all right. You know, they try some stuff with it. But again, you know, it's just like all right to me. And I would, yeah, I if you had to, I feel like I said something like this at the beginning of it, but you know, a lot of everything with this movie is just a little above average for me.
Yeah.
You know, it's an all right movie to watch and make fun of, I would say. I don't know if I would enjoy this movie just sitting down like by myself or something and watching it. I might not. But if I, you know, we made some all right jokes about this movie, and you know, so I'm just gonna give this movie like a 5.5 is what I'm gonna go with, because it's just like a cut above average in every respect.
Next movie we're gonna be watching is Son